The Legend of Zelda: Echoes of Wisdom is almost upon us, and it's so much more than Tears of the Kingdom in 2D. So let's talk about how this game takes the series in new directions. It's been 9 years since the last new 2D Zelda game, and this looks to be the biggest game in the series ever. Zelda is the star, and Tri is her companion that allows her to clone every enemy and item you come across in the game. This is called Echoes, and once cloned, they are available to you through an item menu similar to what you've used in Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. With scale comes a world that's also filled with things to see and do, and lore is central to the game. Nintendo hasn't said this, but the game squarely fits in with the Hyrule we saw in the last two big 3D games, and evolves the abilities to give players that same kind of play-your-way experience, but it all changes due to the 2D perspective. Zelda's Echo ability allows players to tackle the game in almost limitless ways: traversal, stealth, straight-on combat. It's all tied to the ability to find the right echo for the job. And that's the takeaway. There isn't the right echo. There is only the way you decide to play. That's the wisdom part that Zelda is known for in the series. There's a part in the video Nintendo showed where Zelda has to fight Link, or is it Link, in the first dungeon, and Link's shield is stopping her from doing damage. So what do? Well, you can clone bombs and set them down and lure Link towards them, or you can throw them at him, damaging his shield until it breaks, or you can use the hand ability similar to Ultra Hand in Tears of the Kingdom and simply pull Link's shield from his hand. These are only a few ways to defeat him, and there are countless other ways leading to an experience that promises to be unique and different for each player. Graphically, once again, Nintendo highlights the ability for art to overcome technical limitations and creates a world that is highly detailed, but first and foremost, a world that's a character unto itself, much like Link and Zelda. Stellar gameplay design is essential in a large open world, and it's not just the echoes and how they tie into the challenges Zelda faces. The world itself is designed to allow for puzzle solving and traversal using these echoes outside of combat. Dungeons make a return, as well as a completely second world to explore, the Still World. Hyrule is literally torn apart, with people and objects floating in midair, frozen in time. Depending on where Zelda enters the rift, each section of the Still World will have a unique feature. Zelda will need to dive into dungeons and use her echoes to navigate and fight enemies. Zelda will eventually pick up a sword, which turns her into what looks like a copy of Link. The sword doesn't last forever, and Zelda will need to replenish its energy by picking up orbs in the Still World. In terms of characters making a return, Dampé is back, and he makes automatons for Zelda, which she can use to help her fight. They'll be destroyed if they take too much damage, so you have to use them wisely. I've heard the complaints that this is just Tears of the Kingdom components and mechanics shrunk down to 2.5D or 2D, however you want to, call this style of game. But I don't think that's a critique. It's actually a benefit. It's actually something that I find interesting, because it's not just that these mechanics work the same way that they do in a 3D space. A 2D space opens up a whole level of experimentation going from one area to the next. So there's more of a puzzle solving element to this world and Zelda's exploration in it, and the multitude of different ways to solve these puzzles keeps the gameplay fresh, and second and third playthroughs a must. It's been around 9 years since the first new proper 2.5D Zelda game. That's why people are so excited for this game. But more than that, when you look at the gameplay shown, when you take into account everything that Nintendo's packed into this game, it's almost like it's the 2D version of a large open world AAA 3D Zelda game. And I love the idea that we can have 3D Zelda games and 2D Zelda games, and they could exist in the same world, and they could also be just as good as one another. That's the creativity, that's the expectation that most Nintendo gamers have, that I have when it comes to Nintendo. And when it comes to a character like Zelda and Link, this is going to be one of the best games released this year at the tail end of the Switch lifecycle. Let me know in the comment section if you're excited about Echoes of Wisdom. I hope you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe, and I'll see you in Hyrule.